Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another edition of Bad Deck Monday, where we take some silly ideas and see if we can put something together on Pokemon TCG Online. So I was looking through the cards from the new set XY Phantom Forces, and I was trying to find something fun enough to use for Bad Deck Monday, and I stumbled upon this big bad Feraligatr. So Feraligatr has 2 attacks. The first one we're not going to worry about too much. That's Hyper Whirlpool, 60, and then you flip a coin till you get tails. For each heads, you get to discard energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. That's all fine and dandy. Not an attack to base a deck around. But we also have Second Strike. So this does 80, and then if your opponent's active Pokemon already has any damage counters on it, this attack does 80 more damage. What? Alright, so that means if our opponent has damage counters, Second Strike is doing a whopping 160 damage. And that is pretty good in my book. Now, the reason this would be on Bad Deck Monday is that it costs an absurd 4 energy to use on your Stage 2 Pokemon. So this is not a very viable Pokemon in competitive play by any means, but it's Bad Deck Monday. Let's have some fun. Let's try to get some big Second Strike knockouts going. Alright, so we have a 4-2-4 Feraligatr line. That's 4 Totodile, 2 Croconaw, and then 4 Feraligatr. Now you might ask, how are we going to take advantage of Second Strike? How are we going to get damage counters on our opponent's Pokemon? Well, that's a good question. We do have to run something. It's not like we're going to attack twice with Feraligatr just to get 1 knockout. That's not going to work. So we're going to run the Crobat line. So we have 2 Zubat and then 2 Golbat. When Golbat evolves from Zubat into Golbat, it has the ability Sneaky Bite. So when you play it, you can put 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Pretty neat. We also have Swoop Across. It can do 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So this has some nice synergy with Feraligatr, right? We use Sneaky Bite, put damage on a Pokemon. That way Second Strike can do the 160 damage. Pretty simple. And the cool thing is, if you put 2 damage counters on a Pokemon EX, then it'll have 160 HP left if it's 180 HP Pokemon EX. Basically 20 plus 160 equals knockout on a Pokemon EX. So it's beautiful. But just in case we need more sneaky biting, we have a surprise bite as well from this Crobat. So it's very similar to the Golbat. Crobat, when you play it, you get to use surprise bite. And this is actually going to put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. We also have Skill Dive, but I don't think we're going to be using that too much. Skill Dive, not particularly great, but oh well. Alright, so yes, we have Golbat and Crobat. Interesting thing to note here, there was a Dark Golbat in the original Team Rocket set that had a very similar Pokemon power, but back then it only put 1 damage counter. And then there was a Dark Crobat from the Neo Destiny set that had this same thing, but it did 2 damage counters instead of 3. So basically updated versions of those cards, a little bit stronger, but not strong enough to actually be good. Alright, so the combo here, Golbat and Crobat plus Feraligatr, and try to smash some things. That's going to be our goal. I don't think it'll work very well, but let's see. Okay, so one of the biggest hurdles for Feraligatr is its gigantic energy cost. We have a couple routes we can go here. Number 1 is to run a line of something like Blastoise, and I guess we could do that, but gosh, that is so much to fit into a single deck. Blastoise, Feraligatr, Crobat, 3 Stage 2s, not gonna happen. So we're gonna try to go this route instead, Manaphy. Manaphy has the attack Seafaring. Flip 3 coins, and for each heads, you take a water energy out of your discard pile and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. So if we get at least 2 out of 3 heads, then we get an extra energy for the turn. That's pretty cool. But beyond that, we also have this ability, Final Wish. When it's knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you get to search for any card and put it into your hand. So this can be a nice support Pokemon in more ways than one. Manaphy is a pretty cool card. And then to slow down those big Pokemon EX, perhaps give us some time to attach some energy, we also have Suicune. Safeguard, of course, is pretty good. And then we can also attack with Aurora Beam if need be. So there are the Pokemon for this deck. It's going to be very slow, but once it sets up, it should be dishing out tons of damage. For our supporters in the deck, we have 4 Pokemon Fan Club. We have a lot of basics we need to get out, so Pokemon Fan Club is pretty good. 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, 2 Chorus, we have 1 Lysander, and then in this deck we're going to have 1 as well. I think that's how you say it, just as. He allows you to pick up one of your Pokemon. So this allows us to reuse the Crobat line. Say we have evolved to Crobat fully, and we can no longer use these for their sneaky or surprise bites. We can return the whole line back to the hand, and then replay down the Zubat. And then all of a sudden we can use Sneaky Bite and Surprise Bite again. So seems worth running one of these in the deck. And then also VS Seeker, pretty good card. 3 Ultra Ball, 3 Rare Candy, and then a Dowsing Machine, along with an Escape Rope and a Startling Megaphone. Energy, we just have 8 Water, 4 Double Colorless, and that is our Bad Deck Monday deck. So the strategy, I mean, most of these strategies on Bad Deck Monday, not overly complicated, just the cards are not very good. Like, Second Strike here, costing 4 energy, is really bad. But we're going to see if we can try to pull this off with the magic of Bad Deck Monday. So here we go, Pokemon TCG Online, and we are facing a fire deck. So if we're going to have a chance against anything, it's going to be this fire deck, since fire is weak to water. That's pretty standard Pokemon stuff right there. Okay, so we're going to start off with a Totodile and a Zubat. Since I only run 2 Zubat, I think I'm going to leave the Zubat on the bench. We saw this is some kind of hyper-aggressive fire deck. We saw Verbank, we saw Battle Compressor, so obviously my opponent's going to try to use a Battle Compressor, get a bunch of fire energy in the discard pile, and use Blacksmith and be extremely aggressive. So right off the bat, we see an Ultra Ball discarding Lysander and a Blacksmith for a Charizard EX. So yes, indeed, this is going to be a turbo fire deck. And we do see all sorts of stuff happening. Bicycles, a laser, a muscle band, and there is an N. That's a shame because I really liked my hand. Don't like this one quite as much, but at least we got stuff to work with, got some supporters. So it could certainly be worse, but I did prefer the original hand, I will say that. Alright, we see the Battle Compressor coming out, so this is a new kind of cute combo that can happen with these fire decks. You can search out 3 fire energy, discard them, and then all of a sudden Blacksmith can get you those energy right into play. But since my opponent is going first, cannot attack anyway, so just going to see a pass on that first turn. Now I have 2 options here. The Chorus is number 1, or I could Fan Club number 2. Fan Club seems like the much better option. Although I do not get an energy attachment, that is brutal. But I didn't really want a Chorus for like 5. Especially when I have Rare Candy, Feraligatr, got Golbat, got all sorts of stuff going. Just an awkward spot. We'll see what we can do with it. Alright, Blacksmith right away. 2 more energy onto the active Reshiram. Because that Hypnotoxic Laser and Outrage is going to knock me out. So this is particularly brutal right here. I'm just going to promote Manaphy. I know that's going to go active by the end of this turn no matter what. Let's go ahead and sneaky bite on that Charizard. He never saw that one coming. Just out of nowhere, kind of like a mosquito, just a bite. And there we go. Got the Croconaw coming out, and I'm going to drop a Water Energy onto Feraligatr. And like I said, we're going to need to buy plenty of time using this kind of a deck, so just going to pass the turn and see what happens. Looks like VS Seeker's coming out for Lysander. Thankfully, Feraligatr has 150 HP with no Hypnotoxic Laser. Oh no. This is going downhill in a hurry. Oh goodness. Our water Pokemon are getting overrun by these Reshiram. What is going on here? This should not be happening. See a computer search? All sorts of crazy stuff going on. Blue Flare for 140 damage. And the 10 from the poison gonna take down poor Feraligatr. Ugh, this is just not going well. I do have Feraligatr number 2, though, and a double colorless, so we can go ahead and drop that down. And Juniper. And I also have an Ultra Ball, so we could search for, you know, another Totodile. Get some more Feraligatr into play. Suicune not going to be particularly great against this deck since there are 3 Reshiram in play. Blue Flare will just knock him out in one hit with a Blacksmith, and it's just... Man, this is some crazy stuff here. We see another Blacksmith going on, and more energy coming into play. A Bicycle. My goodness. Verbank City Gym. A Battle Compressor. My opponent is just burning through cards. Very appropriate for the fire deck, I suppose. But, yikes. This is going to be really tough to deal with. We're going to try to win this game here, folks. I mean... It's not looking pretty, I will give you that, but I will try my darndest to beat this deck. So here we go with a Blue Flare, and that's actually going to knock out Manaphy straight away. So I will get to use Final Wish. I get to search for any card I want, any one of them. And let's see, do I want to go for a Croconaw? Yeah, we're going to go for Croconaw. I need to get multiple Feraligatr in play. I need to just kind of make sure that I get a bunch of Feraligatr out. You know, it's basically going to be 2 Feraligatr versus the world at the end, man. That's what it's going to come down to. So I will Pokemon Fan Club here for Manaphy and Zubat. Might have to use another Golbat at some point. And I think this is the turn I have to kind of take a risk. Put up the Manaphy and go for some Seafaring. Please not 3 tails. Ooh, okay, 2 heads. I will take that. We'll get one on the Croconaw, and I suppose we'll put one on the Feraligatr as well. Yeah, Feraligatr is going to be tough for my opponent to knock out this turn, so let's get the energy on Feraligatr. And alright, so things certainly could be worse. They certainly could be better, though, as we're going to be down 4 prizes. Oh, this is so bad. Another Battle Compressor, thinning out cards from the deck for my opponent, and a Bicycle, drawing 3 cards right there, so pretty good. My opponent's deck is just flowing extremely well, drawing everything. It is crazy to see this. And you know, mine is kind of slowly plodding along. We got a couple energy in play finally, so maybe Feraligatr will come out once and for all. Here comes a Blacksmith. Seems like this is the 5th Blacksmith I've seen this game. And we might see, looks like another Blue Flare. Goodbye Manaphy once again. But this means we can Final Wish once again. And I'm going to just take a Golbat here. Seems reasonable, since that will allow me to Hyper Whirlpool the active for a knockout. And here our comeback begins, folks. Let's go with a Sneaky Bite on the Reshiram, get another Feraligatr, and the big N. Slamming down the N, and putting my opponent down to 2 cards. And now we got these big bad Feraligatr to work with. And here we go. I have a Startling Megaphone. Don't know if I should play that. Probably not. And for the Muscle Band, not going to do very much. So we'll just hold on to it for now. Hyper Whirlpool, getting our first prize of the game. Finally. And alright, so now, what will my opponent do from here? Reshiram comes out right away. My opponent just doesn't have much of anything and has to set up a Pokemon as a sacrifice. Oh no, a Professor Sycamore. Ugh, right off of that N to 2. Gets the Sycamore right away and has to pass the turn. Unfortunately, I do not have an N So I'm going to struggle here to disrupt my opponent again. We could just see more and more Blacksmith, unfortunately. I'm going to attach that double colorless to the benched Feraligatr and go with the surprise bite this time. And we can go ahead and Ultra Ball just to get rid of a Pokemon. I'm going to grab Feraligatr just to discard it with my Juniper this turn. I will not be getting another Feraligatr into play. We'll surprise bite another Reshiram. That probably didn't matter where that energy went, or where that damage went. And here we go. Let's Hyper Whirlpool, another knockout for 120 damage. All right, the comeback, folks. Can we complete it? This is going to be incredibly close. I don't know what's going to happen. And who's going to come out? Charizard or Reshiram? Looks like Charizard is coming out, doing precisely enough damage with that Combustion Blast. If my opponent has a Blacksmith, I assume that's what's coming. There, we see the VS Seeker, so yes, Blacksmith is probably on the way. There it is. And also an attachment to the benched Reshiram. Uh-oh. So we do see the Blacksmith Charizard EX getting all powered up, ready to go. Combustion Blast, 150 damage. Bye-bye Feraligatr. But we got another one ready, folks. We got another one. And it is time. Do or die. We're going to end my opponent down to a single card. And for Feraligatr, we're going to try to run the gauntlet with this one Feraligatr. Don't want to bench anything else. Don't want to give my opponent a Lysander target for that Reshiram. Here we go. Reshiram versus Feraligatr. Who wins? Can Feraligatr make an epic comeback down so many prizes against a super aggressive start from my opponent? Second striking his way. Oh no, a Professor Sycamore off an N-1. Not again. And no, a Hypnotoxic Laser. Oh, along with an energy off of that N-1, and that means Blue Flare and the Poison and Verbank will finish off. Poor Feraligatr. Can't even take down a fire deck. That's how bad it is on Bad Deck Monday. Oh, man. Well, we put up a pretty good fight there. Made it really exciting, but at the end of the day, Feraligatr, oh, man, he's just way too slow. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.